Fully tuned for under 200 bucks. Hello and welcome to the table, and today I am back with another deck tech video, this time for Sir Boltyn, Breaker of Dawn. My favorite hero in all of Flesh and Blood, and let's get right into things, starting off with Boltyn, a light warrior hero with 4 intellect, 40 health, and a couple of effects. The first one being, if you've charged this turn, your attacks get +1 power while defended by an attack action card. Now, notably, there are just a couple of cards in the deck that charge, just a few. Just like 50 cards in the deck, not a ton. Now, notably, okay, you're charging with stuff. What's the point of making them a little bit bigger? Well, some of those cards have some pretty important on-hits, and your opponent doesn't want those things to hit. And a lot of those things come in for 3 damage. And if your opponent's blocking for 3, then Boltyn busts them up by 1, they kind of have to put more into defending your stuff, which is pretty cool. And in addition, if your stuff is getting buffed with Boltyn's first effect, you can take advantage of his second effect, which is an attack reaction speed ability that says you get to banish a card. You must banish a card from your soul to then give target attack with power greater than its base go again. Now, another thing with these charge cards, sure, you can charge them, you gotta put a card into your soul, into this magical place under your hero, and you get some cool effects out of them, like power buffs, some cool on-hits like drawing cards, putting it into your hero's soul, sure, cool stuff. But none of these cards have built-in Go Again. Now sure, some of them can give themselves Go Again, like Light the Way and Take Flight. But nothing has natural Go Again. So Boltyn being able to potentially give that thing Go Again is pretty cool and pretty good, because this deck wants to go wide pretty much every single turn, for reasons I'll get to in a second. But sure, you can buff with Boltyn's own effect, but if you're not doing that, then it can't get Go Again. So your stuff's basically never gonna have Go Again. But we're warriors, so we just have a couple of cards, just a few cards that give our stuff power buffs. Also, we have this gorgeous thing, so there's that too. But more importantly, getting into the next thing, the reason that this deck goes wide, and the main reason that this deck can actually work, Dusks Bane. The most important card in the deck, the MVP of the deck, the reason the deck is named Dusks Bane, Dusks Bane. A light warrior weapon, 2-handed weapon, sword, that comes in for a total of 0 damage. And as once per turn action, you can spend nothing, no resources, no life, nothing to attack with it for a whole 0 damage. But if you've charged this turn, it gets +3 power. So you can play something like a Beaming Bravado for 0 resources, come in for 3 damage. Charge a yellow card to your soul. Take a whole card from your hand, put it under your hero into this magical little place, and then it'll get a whole power buff. Then you can use Boltyn, banish that card that you just charged, give the Beaming Bravado Go Again. Now it's coming in for 4 Go Again. It doesn't hit, it hits, doesn't matter. Then you come in with Raiden for 3 damage. So you're spending 2 cards to deal 7 whole damage, making it an actual decent on-hit. Like, you're spending 0 resources, 2 cards from your hand, you're coming in from 0 for 7 damage. That's good. That is some on-rate-ish stuff. It makes the deck work, because you spend so many cards in your hand to do such little damage, but this card makes it all click. And in addition, there are just a couple of ways to combo off and maybe deal 20 plus damage that I'll get to later on, but that's not important. What's important is the equipment suite. Holy crap. Thanks to Dusks Till Dawn, thanks to the Boltyn Armory deck, Boltyn has an absolute fridge of an equipment suite. Like Helm of Halo's Grace, Warpath of Winged Grace, we'll get to both of those. And you know what, let's just talk about them first. Helm of Halo's Grace blocks for 2 Blade Break. And when it defends, you may charge your hero's soul during your opponent's turn, so that's pretty neat. And if a yellow card is charged this way, you get to draw a card. So sure, you're taking a card from your hand, shipping it into your hero's soul, which is bad for you because you are going down cards in hand, but you get to draw a card if you do that, which is pretty freaking good for you, not gonna lie. But in addition, there is Warpath of Wind and Grace, which is the exact same thing, except if a yellow card is charged to Warpath of Wind and Grace, you get a Quicken token, which a Quicken token, just so you know, says whenever you play an attack action card or activate a weapon attack, you destroy the Quicken token and you give that attack go again. Now notably, this deck goes wide. Nothing has built-in go again. This can do some work. This basically is just as valuable as drawing a card with the Warpath or the Helm of Payoff's Grace. So yeah, both of those are pretty good. Plus, charging on your opponent's turn can sometimes be pretty good for you too, because these block for 2, sure, but normally you're wanting to block with 3, because a lot of stuff comes in for 3, or for 6, or for whatever. Like, I don't know, a Command and Conquer comes in for about 6 damage. Well, you want to block with a 3 block from your hand, and maybe another 3 block from your hand, or maybe an equipment that blocks for 3, but not a lot of equipment block for 3. Well, the Helm of Payoff's Grace and the Warpath of Wind and Grace, if you're charging, effectively block for 3, thanks to Soul Bond Resolve. A legendary, beautiful legendary, really honestly budget-friendly legendary, Light Warrior equipment chest piece that blocks for 2 Temper, which is pretty cool, and when it defends, you may charge your hero's soul. But you don't get any bonuses. But in a way, you kind of do, because the first time you would be dealt damage each turn, if you've charged this turn, you get to prevent 1 of that damage. Not just if you've charged with Soul Bond Resolve this turn, but with anything during your opponent's turn. So, and each turn. So if your opponent somehow manages to deal damage to you on your turn, like if they're a wizard, Soul Bond Resolve could potentially prevent some of that damage, which is pretty notable and good for you. But this card, you know, if you're charging with the Warpath or the Helm of Payoff's Grace, or Wind and Grace, you are basically blocking with them for 3, thanks to Soul Bond Resolve. Plus, this card blocks for 2 Temper, so that's pretty cool too. But then, sure, these 3 are great, these 3 pieces of equipment are great, but the most important piece of equipment, the MVP of the equipment suite, Iron Sun Versus. This card is so good, because one of the things that's notable about Boltyn, again, stuff does not have go again. You need ways to give them go again. You need ways to make them bigger than their base power to give them go again with Boltyn's effect. Well, this card does it, because in addition to blocking for 2 Temper, which is pretty freaking good, in addition to what it does, a once per turn action for 1 resource that reads, your next sword attack this turn gets this sweet on hit of creating a Courage token. What's a Courage token, you might ask? Well, I'm glad you asked. It is the exact same thing as a Quicken token, except instead of giving a go again stapled onto an effect, you get a +1 power buff, which is effectively go again in this deck thanks to Boltyn's attack reaction speed effect. And might I add, this is not once per turn. This is as many times as you want per turn. So for however many cards you got in your hand, you can play them, you can attack with them, you can banish cards from your soul, and if they have power greater than the base, Boltyn says, you get go again. Great for you. But yeah, absolutely love this card because you pitch a yellow, you got you spend 1 resource to play something like a Take Flight, you charge, get a go again, then you attack with a Raiden. Oh, by the way, spend that last resource, Iron Sun Versus. This is coming in for 4. It comes in for 3. It hits, potentially. You get a Courage token, making it that much easier for you to go wide again on your next turn. And not just have to rely on Boltyn's first effect to make your stuff bigger than their base. But yeah, Iron Sun Versus, insane card. But then getting into the main deck, you can kind of split it into 3 different things. It's mainly 2 things, but there's a 3rd category, and I'll get to that at the end. But the deck, ways to charge, which is a lot of cards, and then ways to take advantage of your stuff charging. But first off, Beaming Bravado. This is a 0-cost, 3-block, 3-attack, Light Warrior attack action that says, as an additional cost to play this, you may charge your hero's soul, which again is taking a card from your hand, shipping it under the magical place under your hero, their soul, this imaginary little place that you can maybe take advantage of later down the line. But if a yellow card is charged to your hero's soul this way, it gets a whole +1 power buff. So that's pretty cool because it can give itself power greater than its base, then use the Boltyn, and give itself go again, in a sense. So that's pretty cool. 0 cost 4 attack with go again. Pretty good. Sure, it takes 2 cards to do, but as I've said already, rating can kind of even that out, make it a little bit more on rate, a little bit more fair for you. But then there's Bolt of Courage, a way better card, might I add. But this card comes in for 3 damage, costs nothing, blocks for 3. There are a lot of these kind of cards in the deck. But as an additional cost is play this card, you may charge your hero soul. If a card has been charged this turn, not charged to this card, but just this whole turn, it gets this sweet on hit of drawing a card, which resources in Boltyn is very good. If you have 5 cards to utilize every single turn, you are likely going to be taking advantage of all of those cards. So the more resources you have access to, the better. And Bolt of Courage can allow that to happen. And I mean, it's pretty easy to pull off because you can play something like a Beaming Bravado, come in for 4, then give it go again with something like a Boltyn, then come in with this for 3. Oh, you've charged this turn already to the Beaming Bravado, coming in for 3, this on hit, the opponent wants to block it, maybe they block with a 3, oh wait, it gets a +1 power buff thanks to Boltyn, and it comes in, it gets that hit, and you draw a card. It's just, I love Bolt of Courage. But in addition, there's Engulfing Light, which is pretty similar, except it has an on hit of putting itself into your hero's soul instead of drawing a card, which effectively in this deck is just as good as drawing a card. You want as many cards in your soul as possible to first off take advantage of Boltyn's second effect to give your stuff go again if you really need it, or, you know, just take advantage of a couple other things that we'll get to down the line, but whatever. Then there's Express Lightning. Just a simple 0 cost 4 attack, 3 block that says as an initial cost to play this, you may charge your hero's soul. Comes in for 4 damage for 0 resources. That's all that really matters. It's just a good way to charge your hero's soul if you really need it. But then there's an Illuminate, something that I've been debating whether or not to have 2 copies of Express Lightning and 3 copies of Illuminate, or 2 copies of Illuminate and 3 copies of Express Lightning for a long time. Illuminate you want 2 copies of because charging is way better than just simply putting stuff into your hero's soul. But Illuminate is still pretty good because it's a 0 cost 4 attack 3 block that says if it hits, you put it into your hero's soul. It's basically smushing Express Lightning and Engulfing Light into one card, except you don't have to charge at all, which you might think is a good thing, but charging, trust me, even though it seems like a big downside, it is a really big part of this deck. You need to charge in order to take advantage of a lot of cards in this deck, like Raiden. But then there is Light the Way, a 0 cost 3 attack 3 block that as an initial cost to play this, you may charge your hero's soul, and when it hits, importantly, when it hits, I cannot tell you how many times I've just like, I've attacked with this, it hasn't hit, and I get its following effect. No, it's gotta hit. But when it hits, if a yellow card is charged to its own effect, it gets go again. So it can't give itself go again, but it's gotta hit, and it's gotta be a yellow card. Now, notably, there are 37 yellow cards in this deck, so that second part isn't that big of a thing, but it's gotta hit. Notably, it's gotta hit. But then there's Take Flight, a 1 cost 4 attack 3 block. As an additional cost to play, you may charge your hero's soul. If you charge this turn, this entire turn, it gets go again. I wish that Dusks Bane kept the whole thing that Monarch did, that if you've charged it all this turn, you get a sweet effect. No, it's gotta be if you've charged to its own effect, and if it's a yellow card, you get the bonuses. I want Monarch, more Monarch stuff, because this is way better. But still, Take Flight is a really good card because it can effectively be a way to extend the chain way more easily, because you can play something like a Beaming Bravado for 0, come in for 4, charging a yellow, give itself go again with something like Boltyn, then come in with a Take Flight, spending 1 resource, come in for 4, you've charged this turn, it gets go again, you don't need to do anything special, hit, maybe not hit, whatever, spend a resource, Iron Sun versus, come in for Raiden for 3, and then maybe it hits, maybe it doesn't, and you maybe or maybe not get a Courage token. Really good for you. But then I got Beaming Bravado Yellow. Same thing, except it comes in for 1 less damage. I only got 2 copies of it. Bolt of Courage, same thing as the red, but it comes in for 1 less damage, and it's a yellow. It pitches for 2 instead. It's also 2 copies of, and an Engulfing Light, Light the Way, Let's see, what else? And Take Flight. All of those are in the deck as yellows, but they're only 2 ofs. They come in for 1 less damage than they normally would, but they pitch for 1 more resource. So, got all of that, and those are all the ways to charge to your hero's soul. Except, there are a couple of more ways to get stuff into your soul. Such as Soul Shield. And beautiful, beautiful card. I love Soul Shield. This card pitches for 2. Cool. It costs 2, and it's a light defense reaction that blocks for 6 damage. It blocks 6. And when the combat chain closes, you put Soul Shield into your hero's soul. This deck, it needs to be defensive sometimes, especially when you're playing against decks that go just really hard. Like, I don't know, an assassin, like a ninja, like an Aurora deck. You know, Soul Shield can be really helpful in that sense. And it's a defense reaction. And it puts itself into your soul when the combat chain closes. All very good things. Sure, it doesn't charge, so you can't take advantage of the Soul Bond Resolve, but still pretty good. But something that you can play at D-React speed during your opponent's turn that can take advantage of the Soul Bond Resolve, and another way to charge, Saving Grace. An amazing card from the Boltyn Armory deck. Pitches for 2, costs nothing, it blocks for 3, it's a Light Warrior D-React. It is probably the best way to defend, be defensive in this entire deck, because as an additional cost to play it, you may charge your hero's soul. And if you've charged this turn, target attack gets -2 power. So, something I want to know. You can block with something like a Helm of Halo's Grace. Block for 2, charge a yellow. You draw a card off the Helm of Halo's Grace. Then, you defend with something like a Saving Grace for 3. Oh, you've charged this turn thanks to the Helm of Halo's Grace. This Saving Grace gives a -2 debuff to whatever you're defending. Like maybe a powered up, I don't know, Command and Conquer because of Ira. You're attacking with the Command and Conquer. Your opponent's attacking with a Command and Conquer for 7 because it's the second attack that the Ira deck has attacked with this turn. Well, now it's just, you're blocking all 7 of it. You're blocking 3 with the Saving Grace, 2 with the Helm of Halo's Grace. Saving Grace is giving a -2 debuff. That's insane. And if somehow it gets buffed up to 8, Soul Bond Resolve prevents the first damage that you would be dealt each turn if you've charged this turn. It's so good. Also, something that I'm really happy about, Saving Grace is the most recent, it's in the most recent thing that does charge shenaniganry. This says if you've charged this turn. So hopefully what I was saying earlier about the Dusks Bane stuff being kind of worse because it's like if you've charged blank this way, like to its own effect, then you get an effect. This says if you've charged this turn. It's kind of reverting back to the Monarch stuff. So I'm hoping the next time we get, we go to Solana and we get stuff for Boltyn, it keeps on the train of if you've charged this turn, because that is so much better, let me tell you. But that is it for, I mean, technically that's not it for cards that charge and get stuff into your hero's soul, but that is all that I'm going to talk about. Now let's talk about pretty much all of the ways that you take advantage of stuff being charged. The first one being Courageous Steel Hand. This is a very simple card, and it's still a pretty damn good card too. It blocks for 2, sure, but you're pretty much always wanting to use it. You're pretty much always wanting to play it. Because it does 0 cost Light Warrior attack reaction that says if you've charged this turn, main reason why Illuminate is worse than Express Lightning in this deck, targeted attack gets +3 power. Now notably, that makes something bigger than its base power, which Boltyn cares about to give things a go again. Also, attack reactions are really good to make things that you want to hit with, hit. And you get those on hits. So that's pretty good too. Yeah, Courageous Steel Hand is an absolutely insane red in this deck, no matter what version of Boltyn you're playing. If you're not playing 3 copies of the red of this card, you are insane. You have lost your mind. But yeah, that's it. No, I'm joking. There are a lot more ways to take advantage of the soul. Continuing down the line, I got Banneret of Courage and Gallantry. These are both 1 cost, 4 attack, 3 blocks. They pitch for 2 because they're yellows. But more importantly, both of these have Soul Flare, which are very important. Because when Banneret of Gallantry is charged, Soul Flare goes off, saying that you get to create a Quicken token. Now, notably, Beaming Bravado, Light the Way, those cards want to charge yellows specifically in order to get their bonus effects. Well, Banneret of Gallantry and Banneret of Courage always want to be charged. So, and because these are yellows, you can charge them to the Beaming Bravado, to the Light the Way, as your first thing that you're charging with each turn. Get the effects from the bonus effects from the Beaming Bravado, from the Light the Way. Get a Gallantry of Gold if you're charging the Banneret of Gallantry, which is nuts. Quicken, big freaking deal. Banneret of Courage creates a Courage token, which gives a power buff, which thanks to Boltyn effectively gives Go Again, which is a big deal. These cards are nuts, because you can play your things that specifically want to charge yellows, and you gotta charge something in order to get the bonus effect off of these cards. You want to start with these things that charge yellows, that you gotta charge yellows in order to get the effects. Then you want to be charging something like a Banneret of Courage, like a Banneret of Gallantry. Then play something like an Engulfing Light, something like a Bolt of Courage, something like a Take Flight. It's like, oh, shucks, I charge this turn, I get sweet effects, from, you know, the fact that I've charged this turn, oh, there's a Courage that got popped, this is now coming in for 4, I'm gonna give it Go Again with Boltyn, I'm gonna go wider, I'm gonna come in with another thing, I'm gonna come in with Raiden, and I don't know. These cards can do so much work. Plus, with Express Lightning, this card, you need to charge something. You don't have to charge something, but you can charge something. This also can be a way to just start the chain and charge with the Banneret of Courage, with the Banneret of Gallantry. Really good for you. If you get these cards in your hand, these are the primary things that you want to be charging with. Let me tell you, because Soul Flare is really good. But then, there are a couple of more ways to take advantage of stuff being in the Soul. The first one being Celestial Cataclysm. This card, holy buckets does it do some stuff. Celestial Cataclysm is a 2-pitch, 3-block, costs nothing, and it comes in for 7 Go Again. Yeah, but as an additional cost to play, you gotta banish 3 cards from your Soul. 3 cards, which is a lot, which is why you want to charge as often as you can. Now, notably, you can't always do that, which is why if you only want to charge 1 card a turn, that's why you're playing the Light the Ways, the Beaming Bravados, the Express Lightnings first, but you want to charge as often as you can, if you can, so that you can take advantage of the Celestial Cataclysms when you draw them, because if you draw these early on in the game and you don't have 3 cards in your Soul because you could have charged on an earlier turn with something like an Engulfing Light, like a Bolt of Courage, but you instead decided to just whatever with the card, like pitch it to do something or whatever, then you can't play the Celestial Cataclysm and it's a big feels bad. But Celestial Cataclysm is still really good because it comes in for 7 damage with Go Again for 0 resources. This can be a big way to make it so that, oh, I'm coming in with a bunch of like below rate stuff because I have to charge cards in my Hero Soul in order to get advantage of this stuff. And while sure, Raiden can even it out, make it a little bit better for me, like a little bit less of a feels bad, but Celestial Cataclysm makes it feel way better for you because this is way above rate. But lastly, for what I'm going to talk about, Lumina Lance. Another 2-of, but a pretty good 2-of. Blocks for 3, pitches for 2. It is a 0-cost light attack reaction that says as an additional cost to play this, you may banish up to 3 cards from your Hero Soul, then you get to choose that many of the following modes. The first one being target light attack gets +2 power, which, you know, that can be pretty good to resolve those on hits or to give stuff potentially Go Again because of Boltyn's attack reaction, speed effect. Or target light attack gets, when this hits, you draw a card. That's pretty good because drawing cards, again, resources, resources, resources. You want as many things to do with as possible in this deck. You want to have as many resources as you can. Or target light attack gets, when this hits, it gets go again. All these effects are good. If you can get all of these effects, great. But you gotta have 3 cards in your banish zone or in your hero soul in order to get all 3 of these effects. That is notable. So just want to point that out. But yeah, there's a reason why it's only a 2 of. It's basically a War Celestial Cataclysm. I'm like, oh, this card is so good, I'm gonna have 3 copies of it too. Having 3 copies of Luminant Lance and 3 copies of Celestial Cataclysm as ways that just banish, like usually banish 3 cards from your hero soul. Thanks to Luminant Lance, it is a little bit more flexible, which is nice. Sometimes when you have it and a Celestial Cataclysm, or like you're drawing them pretty close to one another. Luminant Lance, it can be nice that you don't have to banish 3, whereas with Celestial Cataclysm you do. But still, Luminant Lance is a lot better at a 2 of, even though it is a really good card and it can give you a lot of advantage. It's a lot better to just have 2 copies of this and 3 copies of the Celestial Cataclysm, because this card can do some work, but it's way better as a 2 of. But then, there is the last category of cards, all the cards that are kind of really making Raiden the MVP of the deck. And the reason why this deck clicks. And the reason why this deck can actually put out some stupid damage. The first one being a card that does kind of take advantage of the hero soul as well, but more so fits into this category. Beacon of Victory. 3 block, 2 pitch, light warrior attack reaction that costs nothing. And as an additional cost to play Beacon of Victory, you may banish X cards from your hero's soul. X cannot be 0, might I add, but if you do, target attack gets plus X power, which is pretty cool because, you know, power greater than space, that's always a good thing. But if you've charged this turn, again, a reason why this card is worse than Express Lightning, if you've charged this turn, you get to search your deck for an action card. A action card. Pretty much this entire deck is actions, except for like a couple attack reactions like Courageous Steel Hand, Beacon of Victory, and Luminant Lance. And of course the D-reacts like Soul Shield and Saving Grace. But still, Beacon of Victory, basically, it's a tutor. You get to search your deck for an action card with a cost of X or less, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. Now, notably, I might add, there are no actions in this deck that cost more than 1 resource. So you can just Beacon of Victory, banish 1 card from your hero's soul, give a +1 power buff, and search for any card in your deck that you want that is an action. So, while if you have the ability to banish like 5 cards from your hero's soul, banishing 1, you can get anything you want, importantly. And one thing that you could get is Via the Vanguard, another pretty good combo card in this deck. And a card that can charge the hero soul a lot, but again, more so fits into this category. Via the Vanguard is a 3 block, 2 pitch, 1 cost, light warrior, attack action, Boltyn specialization that comes in for 3 damage. Not great, but as an additional cost to play it, you may charge your hero soul any number of times. Now you want to charge your hero soul a lot with this card, but even just charging once, which normally is going to be what you do. Normally you charge to this card once, maybe twice if you can really afford to charge a second time, but generally it's only going to be once. I've only ever done it twice, like 3 times ever, but still. It also reads, your attacks this combat chain get +1 power for each light card charged this way to Via the Vanguard's effect. So that's pretty cool, you know, giving all your stuff +1 power for the rest of the combat chain. In a deck that wants to go pretty freaking wide. Now, I might note, I do want to note, that if you're playing Via the Vanguard, you pitch a yellow, and you play Via the Vanguard in a turn that you also want to activate an Iron Sun Versus, activate the Iron Sun Versus first, because this closes the combat chain. Use the Iron Sun Versus, then use Via the Vanguard, then do all your go-wide stuff, then do Raiden at the end, so you can get the Courage token on hit, potentially out of Iron Sun Versus. Otherwise, you're just wasting a resource. But still, Via the Vanguard, really, really solid card. Can do a ton of work, because, you know, giving your stuff, making a little bit of an anthem, that can be pretty powerful. But there's a couple of more things, couple of more combo cards that I want to go over. The first one being Spirit of Irina, a card that you can also search for with Beacon of Victory, and a really good one too. Because Spirit of Irina is a 2-pitch light warrior action item, doesn't block for anything, doesn't cost anything, is a legendary, so you can only have one copy of it in your deck, but it reads, if this card would be put into your soul, you instead put it into the arena. So you can charge it, it's a yellow, you can get its bonus effects off of the Beam of Bravado, off of the Light the Ways, off of the Via the Vanguards, the charge value, but it does not stay in the hero's soul because of its own effect. Now, what does it do? You may play Lumina Ascension as though it were an instant. Now, if you've never played Boltyn before, you don't know what that card is likely, but if you have, you know just how important that is. Because the best card in the main deck of Boltyn is Lumina Ascension. A 3-block, 2-pitch, light warrior action and go again that costs nothing, is a Boltyn specialization, and reads, until the end of your turn, weapons you control get +1 power. And when this hits, you get to reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a light card, you put it into your hero's soul and gain a life. Otherwise, you put it on the bottom of your deck. And if you've charged this turn, again, this is worse than this. You get to attack in additional time with each weapon you control. Now, while you can have 2 one-handed weapons and be able to potentially attack with both of those one-handed weapons twice, this is way better to do. This is what you want to be using. And Lumina Ascension has go again. So if you can play it at instant speed with the Spirit of Irina, you basically are going to gain an action point off of this. You're going to have 2 action points. So you can play Lumina Ascension, have 2 action points, attack with the Raiden, get its value, then attack with the Raiden again, an additional time because you have that second action point, and you get to, get the full effects of the Lumina Ascension without having to do extra shenaniganry, like banishing stuff from your soul with Boltyn, in order to give Raiden go again. But, Lumina Ascension, the fact that it can give your weapon a power buff, the fact that you can attack with it multiple times, the fact that whenever it hits, you get to potentially gain life and put more stuff into your soul is nuts, especially when you can chain off and play potentially multiple Celestial Cataclysms, or multiple Lumina Lances, or multiple Via the Vanguards, or multiple ways to, Via the Vanguard doesn't do this, multiple Beacon of Victories, multiple ways to take as much advantage of possible of your hero's soul, and having a lot of cards in your hero's soul. And more importantly, this can stack. So if you get something like a Beacon of Victory, you can get a Lumina Ascension if you already got the Spirit of Irina out, get multiple Lumina Ascensions, play them at instant speed with the Spirit of Irina, gain a crap ton of action points, and then all of a sudden you're attacking with a Raiden Dusks Bane for like 6 damage. And being able to attack with it for like 4 times, potentially gain like 4 or 5 life, and get a crap ton of cards into your hero's soul. So yes, Lumina Ascension is kind of a bonkers card. But this deck, it has some real big pitfalls. Sure, it can be real defensive thanks to the Soul Shield and the Saving Grace, and the fact that this deck has an absolute fridge of an equipment suite for how little it costs. But it still cannot do enough against some of those real aggressive aggro decks, such as Aurora. One of the better decks in the game, Aurora, which is kind of a pain in the tush, but the inventory helps with that, because man, can it go so hard. But first off, I want to talk about a couple of things. Before that, Arcane Barrier. There are no blues in this deck. And your yellows are so important, you're not going to really be pitching with them that often if you're playing against a deck that does arcane damage, like, mostly does arcane damage. Aurora, I get, can do some arcane damage, but a deck that primarily focuses on dealing arcane damage, like a Florian, like a Wizard, like most common Rune Blades, we have 1 piece of Arcane Barrier. We don't want to run more than 1, because running more than 1 is not very useful. But in addition, Halo of Illumination as a way to potentially be able to prevent a little bit more damage. Plus, you could potentially spend a resource at instant speed, destroy it, put a card from your hand into your hero's soul, and if it's a light card, you get to draw a card. It's basically a way worse Helm of Halo's Grace because it does not charge. You can't take advantage of it with the Soul Bond resolve. But it's a way that could potentially prevent some arcane damage because of the fact that it has Spell Void too. But the main way that you are going to be able to prevent arcane damage in this deck is with the Null Room Boots. So that, it's fine. But more importantly, the rest of the equipment suite, way more important. Sink Below, if you need to be a little bit more defensive, if you need to be a little bit more focused on being more fatiguey or going a little bit longer, focusing on really building up that combo, then Sink Below, you can have. It is a non-bow, might I add, with the Lumina Ascension. It is the only non-bow in this entire list, but it is an important one to have when you really need to focus more on defending and setting up that big combo. But Sink Below costs nothing. It's 4-block, D-React, generic D-React, pitches 1, and reads, you may put a card from your hand on the bottom of your deck and then draw a card. You can sink with it if you so choose to. So, really powerful card. It can do a lot of work, sure. But the main important thing is in the inventory is finding a way to have a chance against those Aurora matchups, those really aggressive matchups where the deck is just way faster than you, it puts out way more damage than you, and you gotta race them somehow. Well, Solar Plexus is a way. I was debating whether or not to have something like a Fine Spring Tunic or something like that, but this card is just way better, in my opinion, because you have a lot of yellows that cost 1 resource. Fine Spring Tunic can only get you 1 resource. Realistically, Fine Spring Tunic is a way better card. It would make the deck way better, but I was trying to focus on just making a deck that I would really want to enjoy and play with, and I don't have a Tunic. I feel like Tunic could be in the final version of this list, but I feel like the deck is still fine without a Tunic, but there are a lot of 1-cost yellows in the deck, like a Via the Vanguard. This, at instant speed, you can destroy it, banish card from your hero's soul, and make all those yellows cost 1 less to play this turn, making it so that you can basically spend 0 resources and come up with a lot more stuff. Like a Valiant Thrust, which is a 1-cost. And it comes in for 3, but if you charge this turn, it gets +3 power. And if you've maybe charged with something like Via the Vanguard, this can come in for 6, maybe a little bit more, thanks to that Via the Vanguard. And yeah, Valiant Thrust, it can do a lot of damage. Valiant Thrust Red comes in for 1 more point of damage. It is a red, so it does not get shrunk in cost with the Solar Plexus, but it does come in for 4, potentially 7 if you've charged this turn, which is a really good way to be aggressive. The only thing that I was really thinking of is maybe going down 1 copy of the Red Valiant Thrust and up 1 copy of the Tunic for like the absolute final version, best version of Boltyn, but still, I feel like 3 Valiant Thrust is really good. But Valiant Thrust, strong card. Also, Boltyn Blade, in those matchups where you are trying to race the Aurora deck or something like that, you want to go as quick as you possibly can. Boltyn Blade can be really powerful because if you've charged once this turn, then this will cost 2 less because it costs 2 less for each time you've charged this turn. It comes in for 7, blocks for 3, pitches for 2. If you've pitched a yellow, you have like 1 resource floating because you played something like a Valiant Thrust. You give it go again with Boltyn's own effect. Use the Solar Plexus, you make all your yellows cost 1 less. All of a sudden, you can play this, spending your last resource, come in for another 7, and maybe buff it somehow with something like a Courageous Steel Hand. Give it go again with Boltyn's own effect again. You can then play another Valiant Thrust, the yellow, this time come in for more damage. And if you charged using something like a Via the Vanguard to start all of this going, then man, the amount of damage that you can deal in a turn is dumb. But it's still not as much as the Lumina Ascension turns where you were like playing multiple in a turn. Because the swings in life totals with gaining life with the Lumina Ascension and the damage that you're just dealing with rating is nuts. But this little thing, this little package to really just put on the pressure on your opponent, it can do a lot of damage and a lot of work. But this is the Boltyn list that I have come up with. This is the list that I've been doing the best with. If you're gonna put Tunic in the list, I would cut maybe 1 copy of the Sink Below. I really wouldn't. Even though it's a non-bow with the Lumina Ascension, I would have 3 copies of this. Maybe 1 copy of Valiant Thrust, but it is the red one. But it is a really powerful card. It is a really strong card. To have that Tunic in the list, it can be really good, but I just don't know what I would cut in the inventory. But still, this is the Boltyn list that I have come up with, that I've been doing the best with, and it is for the fully tuned list, under 200 bucks, with shipping and tax. So, for those of you wanting a fully tuned list, you can get it for under 200 bucks. And man, Boltyn, if you have not played him before, he is a lot of fun. You do kind of need to be that kind of a person in order to enjoy a list, in order to enjoy a kind of deck like Boltyn, but man, this stuff that you can do when you put the puzzle pieces together, when you put the combo together, when you set everything up, it can just be so fun, and it can do so much, and it can be so dumb. Trust me when I say you will love it. Well, with all that aside, I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. It's completely free, you won't regret it. I cannot wait to one day show off this list, or a version of this list, when maybe Dusk Till Dawn, the sequel, comes out, or whatever. But with all that aside, see you next time, everybody, and enjoy.